Welcome to the MLB Coast to Coast podcast brought to you by thelines.com. Coming to you from the West Coast, Josh Lander, joined by Nate Weitzer. He's on the East Coast, and we are looking at a slate of baseball on Wednesday night for you guys. Looking at a pretty good Tuesday night here. Nate went 4-2, 2-2 the day before, but over the last couple of days, up a couple of units. Bryce Harper came through for us yesterday, hit a home run, which also got him his total bases, got the fills and everything in there. So pretty good day yesterday. Decently small slate for evening games tonight. Not as much for us to choose from, but I think we've got some pretty good picks here for Wednesday. So continue to follow along by liking and subscribing to that page. Also want you to head to thelines.com and check out the great content we have up on the site right now and use that odds finder tool up there. A nice little chart with all the odds available to you from all of these books, giving us bets this baseball season. Nate, let's go ahead and get into some winners here for Wednesday night.
Yeah, I'm actually, because it's such a small slate, I am going to throw out a 4-10 start here, Houston at Boston. So if you're watching this after 4, go ahead and click the next bookmark to watch the 3 night picks. But I'm going some Kyle Tucker, that is.
Kyle Tucker.
Total bases, 2+ total bases. That's minus 115. You can put some money on that to hedge, but I would combine it with the Astros money line because I do like thinking about Framber Valdez in this spot, and he's been wildly mercurial in his last 5, sandwiching a no-no and a shutout against Detroit with 3 awful starts. A noticeable drop in ground ball rate for him this year, but coming off a start where he had an 86% ground ball rate against Detroit. Only issue was he walked 5 guys, but the Sox hitting 231 against lefties in the last 2 weeks with a 28% K rate. And in the entire month of August, they only have a 5% walk rate against lefties. So I do like this matchup. He did have consecutive lights out starts against Boston 2 years ago. And I think he will give the Astros, it's a 10-run line here at Fenway, which you expect. And I think that has more to do with Cutter Crawford on the other side, who I'm just going to look at again. The last time he started, I wanted Freddie Freeman props. He came through. So did Max Muncy and the rest of that Dodgers lineup. It's because there's some notable struggles against lefties, especially lefties that are plate disciplined, like Freeman and like Kyle Tucker. At home, Crawford has a 4.1 walk per 9 and a 6.7 FIP against lefties. He's given up 40% hard contact. And Tucker is way better on the road this year, 320 average versus 263 at home. He has a 13% walk rate against righties on the road, 13% walk rate in general since the All-Star break. He's been an on-base machine lately. He's 3 for 8 with 2 walks in just 2 games to open the series at Fenway, and 310 in his career against Boston. So I think he's the best batter to target here, especially against Crawford, but that Sox bullpen has also been the second worst in August. And another reason to like Houston on the money line is their bullpen, of course, very, very good. Boston, not so much.
Yeah, Boston, not so much. Also, thank you for giving me my next year's fantasy baseball team name, Kyle Tucker. Such a great name. But that's what he's batting poorly. He's now back to Kyle Tucker, as he's awesome now. But I have no problem with this bet. I do like runs in this game. Framber scares me big time. But I think, what you're going for here is really just, I love just looking at Kyle Tucker in a situation that, he's been really, really good at this year so far, and the way that Cutter Crawford struggles versus lefties, and all the great lefties that have been getting hits off of him, as Boston's had a pretty brutal schedule as well at times with some pretty nasty lineups they're facing, and that's why their games are going over so much, and why you can expect some hits from those Houston Astros tonight. But I'm going to kick things off here with another just hitting machine in terms of the Dodgers. One of the 2 best offenses in baseball at this point, and have been the best over the course of the last month and a half. I'm going to take their money line at minus 165 and put a unit on it. I wanted to put a unit and a half. I'm just going to leave it at a unit because it's a little bit trappy for me, just because it's like they've been riding so hard. But once you win they've lost 4 games since the beginning of August. I mean, it's not like there's like a trap in the sense that one of the aspects of their hitting or their pitching are going to sort of dwindle. I like Pepio in this matchup a bit more than I think the books are giving him credit for. I don't know the last time I saw the Dodgers as just a minus 165 favorite. In fact, that number on BetMGM is a lot better than even like FanDuel or DraftKings, which are up around 180. Minus 180 for them to win. So I do like the little bit, the 15 cents worth of juice you get there by taking them on BetMGM. And Pebio has been hurt for most of the season, as has been the case for a ton of Dodgers pitchers, which is wild to think about as they have a double-digit lead in the NL West. But he was good last year. He's definitely a prospect that they're banking on. And in 9 innings this year, he's already been good as well as they bring him back slowly. The one blemish is a home run that he's given up. But in the two starts that he's made this season, he has a 2 ERA, 0.94 WHIP, and 2.41 xFIP. He also has a combined 11 strikeouts in those 9 innings. Obviously, a very, very nice 11 per 9 K rate there at K per 9. So I think he's got the stuff for sure. I'm not really afraid of this Diamondbacks lineup at this point. 20th in WRC plus, basically on the season. Like everything they're doing in August is what they do on the season. They're a slightly below average hitting team against righties, and they are a below average team, comfortably below average team against lefties. Pepio coming in as the righty, but does have a decent success in the righty-righty matchups as well, and the righty-lefties, honestly, hasn't been bad. That's what happens when you have a 2 ERA, and what we saw from him last season was the ability to pitch. I think they expected him to be a part of that rotation this season, as he went 3-0 last year, had a 10.4 K per 9 rate, and then 3.47 ERA. A little bit of a higher xERA, but still pretty much within the ballpark to keep him under 4 with that ERA on the season. So I don't need to tell you about this Dodgers lineup. I don't think Mookie Betts is in it, Freddie Freeman's in it. They're all really, really, really good. Brandon Pfaadt has been better. Not when he faced the Dodgers last time. I mean, I've tried to find the right times to back Pfaadt because he has been my fantasy baseball team name. He's so Pfaadt right now, but he's not really got it against this Dodgers lineup. The last time out, got touched up for 6 hits and 4 earned and just in under 5 innings pitched there. He's got just a 30% ground ball rate, and that home run to fly ball rate has been somewhat friendly at times. I think if anybody gets a hold of one tonight at Dodger Stadium with the wind blowing out dead center, you've got to hit it dead center, but I'm sure there's plenty of bats on the Dodgers to hit it the 400 feet they need to get it over that wall. And it's actually not even quite 400, I don't think, in most of the parts out there by center. It's a pretty home run friendly park there out in LA for these guys on the Dodgers to get some runs off of Pfaadt and for them to get this win.
Yeah, I hope he never gets traded to Boston, and we'd be talking about back Pfaadt all the time. But yeah, the Dodgers, 10 straight wins in division, have lost 1 division game since the end of June. So yeah, to just take their money line blindly here, especially against a little brother like the D-backs, makes a lot of sense, even though you do lay out some good reasons why we're taking the money line here against Pfaadt. So the other game here, which we just hit, which was the Rays money line at Miami. Miami's struggling badly. Losers of 9 of their last 12 and 5 of their last 6 at home. I'm going to actually target the starting pitcher here for Tampa. Zach Eflin to get 6 Ks is plus 140 at FanDuel. Oh, and I'll split your unit between that and Zach to get 5 Ks in the Rays win. I do think they win again with Jesus Luzardo on the mound. The Rays were much better against righties over the course of the year, but lately they've been crushing lefties. They've been crushing everybody. They're hitting like 302 in the last 20 days, but they're hitting 312 against lefties with an 830 OPS, and Luzardo's been pretty awful lately, and the Marlins bullpen just got pounded in that loss yesterday, so not much relief coming in for them. But Eflin coming off 11 Ks in 6 innings. He's been really up and down in terms of his Ks, but also keeping the exit velocity way down in 5 of his last 6 starts. Just impressive there, and stranding everybody who's been on base in 4 of his last 7. And how does he do that? Because he has a good slider, and his outside swing rate has been above 35% in all 7 of those starts. That's absolutely key against the Marlins, the 4th highest outside swing rate. They also ranked 27th against the slider in August and 24th on the season. So even though they have a pretty low K rate, do the Marlins at home, and lately, only 21% in this losing streak, I think Eflin can get there. His prop is all the way up at 18.5 innings with plus odds on the over. I would rather just say he's going to have a high K per 9 again, get you to 5, maybe 6 strikeouts, and that the Rays are going to win here in what's not really an away game, because it's just Tampa going to Miami. It's also an artificial turf. It's similar situation where the Rays clearly are going to have some success.
Yeah, and I've been looking at Lozado for a while here because he's definitely just ran into, crashed, and it exploded into a million pieces once he hit that wall of the amount of most pitches he's thrown by far at this point in his career. And is at 143.1 innings pitched, also the most of his career. I think it's a pretty good spot to continue fading him. It worked out really well fading Sandy yesterday. Got the 11-2 win for the Rays there in Miami. So I think we continue to feel pretty good about this Rays team going in the right direction, and the Marlins slightly receding out of that playoff race. Certainly not out of it by any means at this point, but definitely don't have much wiggle room throughout the last month of the season. And I think that just the hitting for them especially is something that it still isn't there, despite the law offices of Berger and Bell coming over to their squad. They're still slugging is bad, all of the power is bad, and if you can't string 3 or 4 hits in a row together for this team, you can't really get around the bases, and that's my biggest worry for them. So with you on that, on the Rays again, and going to a game that's got a football sort of feel to it in the score when you're in Colorado with the Bravos playing, and these totals up at around 13.5, 12.5. It's bananas. First game of the series went 14-4. Last night, Charlie Morton pitched a nice gem there, only 3-1. But I'm going to just be, instead of looking at game totals or anything, fading Kyle Freeland and giving Ozzie Albies a little bit of love on the Bravos. So I'm going under 15.5 outs for Freeland. That's minus 133 on DraftKings with a full unit. And I'm also going to take a little bit on Ozzie Albis to get over 2.5 total bases. There's no good way to be able to bet on him. He's the best hitter in the league against lefties, and has continued that torrid pace, especially in August, and crushes Kyle Freeland. Has faced him 21 times, has 9 hits for 3 doubles and a triple, with 5 ribbies in there. That's a slash line of 429, 667, 1095, which is very good for those keeping track at home. This Braves lineup in general just smashes Freeland. Overall, on the season, this team has a slash line of 348. Not on the season, I'm sorry. In their history, career-wise, these batters that'll be facing Freeland for the Braves, 348, 618 slugging, and a 1.01 OPS. That's all on 89 at-bats, so a decent enough sample size to say that they crush this dude. They crush lefties in general. Kyle Freeland is very crushable right now. If you look at how many games we got here, he's gone 6 innings 3 times. He does go 16, the 6 innings when occasionally, and he's done that in games where obviously they don't care if they win or lose anymore, because he's given up at least 3 earned runs in all except for 2 of his last 11 or 12 starts here since the month of June, and in that time he's got an ERA up above 6, a FIP up above 5.84. And just given up 13 home runs in that amount, in 15 innings in that time. So good for about 2 home runs per 9 for Freeland. Like, it's just a matter of, are they going to leave him out there? So however you want to fade him, if you want to take over 2.5 earned runs for him as well, that might be the play. Just fade him. The 15.5 outs, as I'm looking at it a little bit more closely, it scares me a little bit. He does need to pitch into the 5th inning, which I think, there's good reason to believe that he's going to get shelled. But the more I think about it, the more it's like, well, they do keep leaving him in. It's not like they have a bullpen to turn to. I still like Ozzie Albies to get the total bases at plus 110. For Freeland, as I'm talking about this with you and looking over the stats I've even written down and recorded, I'm starting to feel a lot better about just taking over 2.5 earned runs for him for crappy juice, rather than worrying about the outs and needing him to come out of the game. I think he can stay in the game even if he's giving up 4 earned runs in the 5th. That's the problem that I'm running into as I talk about this bet. So everything I told you about the outs, I'm literally changing as I look at my stats and go, well, you just did all the research to come to the conclusion that he's going to give up runs. Why are you worried about the outs? So I'm going to go over 2.5 earned runs for Kyle Freeland in this one.
Yeah, nice pivot. I was gonna say, yeah, but some of these numbers are absurd. The Braves run totals 8.5 tonight, and he did actually pitch in Atlanta and give up 7 earned to this club in 4 1/3. But like you're saying, you don't want to try to predict strategy with the Rockies management here. There's a chance they let him stay out there, even though he's given up 4 and he's still getting hit pretty hard. just because they're absolutely tanking. So yeah, I would rather go with the earned runs. Maybe you can find the juice differently to get it over 3.5, because I think he gives up at least 4 earned to the best offense in baseball against lefties.
Yeah, and this is a good point to talk about real quick. Like this time of year, you can kind of bank on favorites a little bit more, but you got to find the way to juice them up. And I do like these little take a player to get a hit with a money line kind of bet or something along those lines. So with Ozzy Albies, you can bet him over 2.5 total bases, get plus money. You can take him to get 1 hit, and the money line for the Braves only gets you to about minus 180 on most books. But those types of bets, I feel a lot more comfortable with. Player performance doubles, things of that nature. As we get to the end of the season, certain teams are clearly getting in position for the playoffs, and certain teams are like, we've been out since June, so we're not worried about it. So anyway, that is all the time we have for you guys in this one. Make sure to like and subscribe to that page. Continue to follow along. We're coming back to you to finish off the week as well. So until we see you next, happy betting.